Well, welcome to everybody that making it in. I'm glad that the cold weather didn't uh, keep you from us. Looks like we may have a few absent because of the cold weather. It is, let's see, 12:16. I call the meeting of the Northeast ISD School Health Advisory Council to order. Let the record show that there is a quorum of SHAC members present. Excuse me. This meeting is in compliance with Section 28.004 of the Texas Education Code and applicable board policy. The council's meeting today will address only the topics on the agenda. No other topics will be discussed during the meeting. SHAC meetings are open to the public. Guests wishing to address the SHAC may do so by emailing the SHAC committee at shac@neisd.net. Any persons that cause disruption during the meeting will be asked to leave. Please thank you for your cooperation.
Please remember, health-related issues can sometimes generate passionate discussions with very different viewpoints. Remain calm and respectful throughout the process. Listen carefully with an open mind to identify critical facts and statistics that should be considered in decision-making rather than over-relying on opinions and emotions. Keep NEISD students' health as your top priority to help discussions stay on track.
Okay, the first item on today's agenda is the approval of the January 15th, 2025 SHAC meeting minutes. Yes. All right, we have a motion to approve. We have a second. Any discussion? All right. All those, please raise your hands for those that would like to approve the minutes as they are. All right, thank you. All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Okay, next we have the presentation regarding the Career and Technical Education, CTE, Child Development Lessons. Mr. Philip Steinert.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Raise it up higher. That'd probably be helpful. So I'm Phil Steinert. I'm over our CTE department, both our comprehensive high school, middle school, and magnet programs. And I wanted to just set some history real quick. CTE, we have close to 200 different courses. We are tasked with preparing our students for the workforce, for aligning them to pathways that are going to earn them IBCs, which are industry-based certifications. And so the topic of conversation today is child development, a specific resource that our teachers adopted out of those 200 courses, almost 200 courses that we offer. We had dozens that were up for new resources of a proclamation last year. Right, so there was a public review of all of the resources. Teachers voted on them, public could review, and with that, when reviewing the child development resource, there were a couple of questions or concerns that public brought up, as well as the board brought up, was reviewed by our lawyer, and the piece today that we have for y'all is the piece that overlaps with the HSAE curriculum that has been adopted for Northeast ISD, the supplemental resource that's used for child development. There's a few sentences essentially within a particular unit that overlaps, and it is it's up to the board, or the board is to review those things and give a recommendation back. Sorry, it's up to SHAC to review and give a recommendation back to the board. So this is a piece straight from our August board meeting where we talked about this. And the piece was Unit 8, Lessons 1 and 2, and hopefully you all got that about a week and a half ago to be able to review, along with the specific lessons that are for the health curriculum and where they may, innovate. But anything that's related to physical development, lessons dealing with those topics should be reviewed by you guys, if nothing else, to ensure that the information is presented is consistent with the HSAE curriculum. and the board would then consider your recommendations and feedback. Alternatively, the board may be able to remove that portion. So the resource that you guys were shared with, it's online only. We have had conversations with the publisher to say, hey, if SHAC reviews and there's pieces that they disagree with or don't like, it can flat out be removed altogether. It's not a printed copybook. That would be something that's disruptive. So I wanted to start with that. I'm going to go back real quick to this piece, and I wanted to elaborate on kind of the pathways that we set up students for. So we have students that hopefully make an informed decision on a pathway that they want to look at in high school, that they want to experience, that they want to be prepared for. Maybe they ultimately don't end up doing it, but the two pathways that child development falls into and the supplemental resource you guys reviewed is under the early learning and teaching and training. It's essentially a pathway for our students to become teachers, whether it's pre-K teachers, elementary teachers, all the way up to high school. These are the two pathways under the education and training career cluster. So these are kids who are saying, I want to know how to become a teacher, everything that comes with that, to include how children develop from adolescence all the way through. And that's where child development falls into that overall pathway, that they're willingly choosing that course. Okay. So in summary, the two lessons in Unit 8 that innervate some of the established HSAE curriculum are Unit 8 Lessons 1 and 2, dealing with physical development and social emotional development. So it's talking about physical growth in adolescence from birth all the way through, how genetics, sleep, exercise, nutrition, and illness affect growing bodies, things that you would want to keep in mind as a possible future teacher. References to sexual maturity, puberty for males and females, and consequences of sexual activity to include STDs, emotional trauma, and pregnancy are covered in this unit. And then there's various social emotional development concepts like self-esteem, mental illness and anxiety, depression and suicidal ideation are covered within this unit. So with that, that's kind of the background, the whole that we're looking for. Our hope is that you are able to spend time diving into it, allow you guys time to share and talk with each other on concerns you had, concerns you don't have, and then if we also have all 4 of the lessons ready to be pulled up to be able to refer back to for talking points, as well as the e-dynamic public demo for us to be able to pull up for conversation as well.
Are you done? So you're open for questions?
Open for questions.
Okay, so the floor is open for questions.
Yes, ma'am.
You might need to go to a mic.
I think you long press the bottom if it's like the mics I'm familiar with.
Says there. Okay. All right. So I have 2 questions. Did anyone on the district level see if those sections were aligned with the new sex ed curriculum?
Yes, ma'am. The parts that I saw individually as I reviewed and in coordination with our PE department was when it's talking about pregnancy and birth control. There's a specific process that our HSAE outlines of step 1, talk with your parents. And in this one, it talks about it's important for parents to have open discussions with students and to have discussions with your doctor. It's not as step 1, step 2, step 3, aligned in that manner. That was the main thing that I saw in relation to that.
Okay, and then another question that I had was, in my field of mental health, one of the big terms that we use is scope of practice. So I'm concerned about teachers addressing issues like suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, those kinds of things, and stepping outside of that, because it just seems it's walking a really fine line.
Right.
So I guess that's my question. Have you guys considered that? Because I think you can say like, well, these are signs of depression, that, you know, just basic things. But my biggest concern is how much of that, because you're walking a fine line with scope of practice. as well as scope of competency.
I think that's a great point. Knowing that this specific course is focused on students who are deciding that they want to be teachers in the future, right? And arming them with things that we arm teachers with as well, with, hey, here's signs, there's mental health first aid that all of our teachers are required to learn, because it's important for them to be able to see that, refer them to our counselors, that is within their scope, right? The background of, from my understanding, looking through it, it's signs and next steps. Get them to a professional, get them to a professional who is equipped within their scope, not here's how you deal with it, here's how you approach it. It's here are the signs that you would want to be aware as someone teaching a young person, whether that be in elementary, middle school, or high school. But I think that's a phenomenal question and something to consider for sure. Did I answer that fully? Okay. Maybe one tap on the bottom.
I didn't turn it off. Looks like it's dead, maybe. When I push it, oh no, nope, it's alive.
Hello? Okay. Same kind of conversation. I'm a mental health professional as well, and I think as long as it's part of the teaching for the new teachers, there's also counselors on staff, and I think that this might be the only time these kids ever get to hear about it. And so I'm thrilled it's going to be discussed. My assumption is that the training will also correspond with what these teachers are having to, right? And it's basic level is my assumption, but I think it's incredibly important because the counselors can't catch it all, right? And they can't catch what they don't know about with the kids even. So as long as it's part of the curriculum, I think, in terms of what they are going to say, I think it's great. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And in support of that, every single resource that our teachers voted for and our board adopted is 100% aligned with the TEKS. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I wanted to make sure I drove home, and I don't think I have yet, is that this is a supplemental resource to support the TEKS. Right. It's not the foundation of the curriculum that we're using. The TEKS are what we're obligated to cover, and at the same time preparing students for a specific industry-based certification that covers topics like this, right, to prepare them. So thank you.
And I'll just help. I actually worked with Phil at Reagan, and I know our CTE teacher again, I can only speak for Reagan, but for the district in general, all counselors do train all faculty and staff at the very beginning of the school year over the signs of mental health, abuse, things like that, because that is part of the counselor's responsibility. Through the new, what's the new mandate from the state of Texas? Mental health first aid. Again, everybody has to be trained by that, I think, within the next 2 to 3 years. And so teachers will also have more exposure to that, but I will say it's required by state law for us to go in at the beginning of every school year to train all teachers, all faculty, all staff, cafeteria workers, everybody per campus, and we're responsible for that. And there is a sign-in sheet, and it does go back up to the director of guidance. So teachers are at least getting that first look at the very beginning of the school year in August, and it happens on every single campus in our district, just in case. I don't know how much people know about things like that, but I can vouch for that because that's what I did for many years.
Hi, yes. I did something a little unusual. In addition to reading through it, I uploaded the training to the AI large language model that I like to use, and I asked it to compare. And it came back under comments for review. It said, this is what it said: district files align with TEKS and abstinence-focused education, likely under Texas guidelines. Compares contraception nod might need scrutiny if district policy forbids it, though it's factual and not promotional. So, I mean, I thought that was interesting. It also did mention. Now it said compares trigger warning and resource specificity, set a higher safety standard, district files lack of warnings, and narrower mental health scope could be improved for student well-being, though content is age appropriate. And Then finally, under safety, it said district files focus on abstinence and consequences as safe, but might benefit from broader health topics, e.g. sleep, nutrition, and sensitivity cues. But I didn't upload all the lessons, so those might have been in there. But I just thought if anyone was interested, I mean, I hope all of you had a chance to look through it. I did. My eyes always gloss over after a while, so I thought I'd feed it to this thing.
That's incredible.
All right, and that's what it came up with. Right. Yeah.
I have more of a maybe more of a comment and a confirmation, but I also watched your original presentation from the board, and I just wanted to understand where we were in the timeline, because I know as of right now, to protect this lesson, it's an opt-in, and that these students will be tested on this material if they choose to take that industry-based certification.
Right.
So I wanted to understand, so the ramification, if this doesn't get passed, it means some of those students will not obtain information that could potentially be on a standardized certification test.
That is correct.
Okay. And are we still in a space where that test has not happened?
Correct. Testing usually happens March, April, so we're still in very good shape. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
And to elaborate also, no, none of these topics or these specific lessons have been shared or talked about with students in preparation or in waiting for this. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions for Philip? All right, thank you very much, Philip. Appreciate your time. All right, next item is the discussion and possible action regarding the Career and Technical Education, CTE, the Chairperson Child Development Lessons, Unit 8, Lessons 1 and 2. Do we have a motion to approve the CTE development lessons? We have a motion. Tell me your name again, sir. I'm sorry. Edward. Thank you, Edward. And do we have a second? Okay, Lori. Is there any discussion? All right, no discussion. We'll go ahead and move into the voting. So after voting, if you'll please fold along the dotted line like so, and then hold up in your hand so that we can collect them. Thank you. So while we're collecting the votes, I just want to bring to everybody's attention, these are some of the dates of the different activities that we have coming up. It's also listed on your agenda so that you have them. The National School Bus Driver Appreciation Day, February 20th. The Maintenance Worker Appreciation Day, March 7th. The NEISD Spring Break is going to be March 10th to the 14th. I think the students were hoping that was early as well. The next full SHAC meeting will be March 19th here. The American Association and NEISD PE and Health Community event at Northeast Sports Park will be March 20th. And then afterwards, we plan to have our standing committee meetings. So.
For anybody that walked in late, please make sure you sign into the full SHAC sign up in the, I don't know what that room's called, but that room. The food room.
Mr. Chairman, in the matter of the approval of CTE Child Development Units 8, Lesson 1 and 2, 21 number of votes cast, 11 are needed for a majority. 21, those in favor say aye, 0, those opposed say no, and 0 legal votes.
So on the vote to approve the CTE Child Development Unit 8, Lessons 1 and 2, there were 21 votes cast. The number of needed for approval is 11. There were 21 votes for aye, 0 votes for no, 0 illegal votes, and so the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Thank you. So at this point, we are 3 minutes ahead of schedule. If there is a motion to adjourn, we will move to, okay, we have a motion to adjourn and move to, we have a second? Okay, first motion was made by Sean, and it was seconded. Okay. Lauren. All right, all those in favor, raise your hand, say aye. All those opposed, raise your hand, say nay. All right. Yes, ma'am. That we're going to move into that once we adjourn. Yes, ma'am. Great. All right, thank you. All right, so the ayes have it, and the meeting is adjourned. If you'll please stick around. After the SHAC meeting is adjourned, we will have our standing committees stay and have their work sessions. Please note that all these work sessions are no longer open to the public.